So there are times when I am having to explain to a patient we're going to do a scan or we're going to do a test, and I mean, unfortunately, given the symptoms that you've come in with, the thing that I am concerned about is something really nasty. Unfortunately, something really sinister, like cancer, is the primary concern. And some patients take it, I suppose, well, in the sense of some of them, given everything that they're aware of from a public health point of view, and given their symptoms, maybe they were expecting it. Some patients are really shocked, and some patients of a nervous disposition might say, "Oh, I'm not sure I want to know." And my response to them in general is, it's better to know than not to know. Informed is armed. Quite often, specifically in cancer treatments, the earlier we know, the more chance we have of being able to do something about it. The later in the disease process is diagnosed, the less chance we can do about it. I was just thinking about, in life, what that means, informed is armed. I know that there's a proportion of society that isn't really thinking about, I suppose, the things I was talking about in the last video: prevention is better than cure. But I think as a continuation of that thread, informed is armed. There are so many things that we can deal with if we find out early enough. So even for some non-medical, there are situations in life that you might, I don't know if you have like family or friends who have got themselves into a crisis and they call you at the point of crisis, and we're going to do whatever we can to help you out of this crisis. But sometimes you do wonder, like, if you could have told me earlier, I might have had more options to be able to help. If you're thinking about making changes in life and where you want to be, knowing where you are is a big deal. There's a concept of consent in medicine. We say consent, but we're generally talking about informed consent. As a doctor, it wouldn't be reasonable for me to ask you to make a decision about something if I don't give you all the information in a way that you can understand it. So for myself, my personal goal is taking care of my own health. I had a stroke in June. I'm trying not to have another stroke. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. I'm trying to keep that blood pressure low. But knowing where I am, and just accepting it is part of the platform to get me, where I'm going. Food diaries, looking at my activity and the level of exercise that I'm doing. All these things help me make a decision as to what change to make. From a spiritual point of view, I can remember as a child when people blow up, oh, you can tell God anything. There were certain things I'm like, oh. And this is the only way that I can articulate it. I can't tell God that, because then He'll know. Which I know out loud as an adult, it seems like a silly thing to say, but I do wonder whether there is a degree of intentional transparency that we don't have in our spiritual walk, because tackling it head on is an issue from God's point of view. God knows. Not only does God know from a like all-knowing point of view, but specifically, God knows me and knew me before I was ever going to make any of the mistakes I've made. So for anybody who ever feels or maybe my calling, I'm not worthy of my calling, or I can't do my calling because look at all the mess in my past, it doesn't hold water if you understand the nature of God and the fact that God is outside of time, because God knew all those things before he made the decision to call you. But you getting there is going to be a function of you looking at where you are, me looking at where I am, and saying, okay, so maybe I eat too much meat. It pains me to say that. Maybe I don't exercise as much as I should. Maybe I don't drink as much water as I should. Informed. This gives me the ammunition to be able to direct my efforts with regards to change. Just thoughts.